Tell me there's something better. Go ahead, try. How I Spent My Summer Vacation by Peter Benjamin Parker. I can sum it up in one glorious, hyphenated word. Spider-Man. I am the spectacular Spider-Man!
Hello everyone, thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that I have plot synopsis and character bios for this issue. We are continuing Roger Stern and John Romita Jr.'s run on The Amazing Spider-Man number 227 from 1982. And now in this issue, we have Spider-Man versus the Black Cat. I do have a playlist. Feel free to check that out. I have covered from the beginning of Roger Stern's run. I have the McFarlane issues in there. I have lots of stuff in that playlist. So if you remember from last issue, Black Cat escaped from the mental institution where she was faking it so that she wouldn't have to go to prison. So going straight. And Spider-Man says that a headline from the Daily Bugle got him angry. He says somebody's gonna have to answer for this, and he's carrying the newspaper with him as he's leaping through the buildings. Very, very cool panel. Roger Stern is our writer. John Romita Jr. and Jim Mooney are doing the art. Tom DeFalco is the editor, and Jim Shooter is the editor-in-chief. Tom DeFalco, after Jim Shooter is fired, will actually be his replacement as editor-in-chief. And so Roger Stern talks a little bit about Spider-Man. We all know all about Spider-Man, but I love these just going from one pose to another pose. So that's pretty cool here. And his spider sense goes off, and he looks down. He's like, oh, man, I don't have time for this. And he sees the guy robbing this little pub here. So Spider-Man goes down, and he then, it says mere seconds later, he goes, that didn't take that long. But he used a little too much web. And so at the police department, at Jean DeWolf, it's in her precinct, and he sees her there. So he goes, hey, Captain, when are you going to give up smoking? You know, it's not good for your lungs. And he walks in, and she goes, this isn't a social visit. I have a bone to pick with you. And he gives her this. Spider-Man crashes the underworld party. Are you the informed source who gave the Bugle the story? She says, I am. And she says, what's the matter? That's the nicest thing you've ever gotten from the Bugle. And he says, you didn't mention the Black Cat and that she helped me. And how come you didn't mention her? And he says, because you web-headed dope, she's a wanted felon. Have you forgotten that she broke out of a mental hospital last week? The woman's dangerous. And so you can't afford to have your name linked to hers. And Spider-Man says, I appreciate your concern, Captain, but the cat isn't as bad as you think. She sincerely wants to go straight. And she asks, how do you know that? He says, I just know. I trust her. And he says, she says, what do you want me to do? Arrange an amnesty for her? The most notorious cat burglar in the East Coast? No way. Listen, your rep with the department is shaky as best. If you go out on a limb for the Black Cat, you could wind up on the wanted list yourself. Is that what you want? And so he leaves here and says, I'm sorry I wasted your time here. And so she thinks about it and says, you know, he probably knows where she is. We should do an APB. And then she goes, I won't. So she calls the district attorney's office. And Spider-Man gives thought to what she says, you know, and he sort of agrees a little bit with what she says, and then he thinks of all the loves he's had, Mary Jane, Gwen Stacy here, these two women here, and he says, I really haven't been able to keep any romance since Gwen Stacy died. It still hurt to think of her death. Will I ever love anyone the way I loved Gwen? And then he says, no, I've got to stop thinking that way. Gwen is gone, and nothing I can do will change that. Dwelling on that past does no one any good. And so he's going to go to where the black cat is and surprises her. And he says, I've missed her. And she says she wants to rob this statue here, and it's going to be a nest egg for them. And Spider-Man's like, our nest egg? And she's like, are you crazy? If you think I'd let you pull another job. And she says, blast it, Felicia. I spent the morning trying to convince the police you're going straight. Is that the thanks I get? And so she says, all right, I'm a little girl. I'm a bad little girl. But tell me this. Did the police believe you? And he says, no, they didn't. But I believe me. Felicia, you promised me you'd go straight. And then she says, I know. I guess old habits die hard. I let you down, didn't I? And then he's like, yes, you did. And so during this time, they're very playful, but Spider-Man does not show her his face, so he really doesn't quite trust her all the way here. And so she tries to pull off the mask. He's like, nope. And she says, I thought you liked your men mysterious. She says, I do. But you know almost everything about me, and I don't even know where you live. And he says, she has a point there. I asked Mary Jane to marry me once, and I never told her I was Spider-Man. Could I ever trust Felicia enough to? And so he says, hey, how about we go on a date at 9 tonight? She says, all right. And she starts to think about the relationship, and she's falling in love, and she jumps and lands on that newspaper here. And then once again looks down, and she says, love is all you need, isn't it? And so Peter is going back to the university here, and you can see his clothes are here. So he grabs them and goes down, and he's also in love. And they're like, hey, your paper is going to be due. And he's like, okay. So he goes and he's going to go type it and turns it in. He's just on top of the world at the moment. And this guy talks to him, and he's like, hey, what's up? You're like weird. And then, of course, Peter tells him there's a girl, and he asks who she is, and he's like, I won't tell. But later that night, the black cat, remember, meet you at 9 at 8:45. She's going into the apartment, opens it up, and she's gonna go steal that statue, and goes out. And when she goes out, you see I'm away free and clear. But Peter was there, and he's like, Felicia, you gave me your word that you were going straight. He showed up early, by the way, and she says, I let you down again. I'm sorry. Don't be mad. I'll put the statue back. And he says, well, put it back, and then we are going to have a long, serious discussion. Whatever you say, lover, but you better let me lead the way past the security devices. And so she does, and he tries to go through, but he lands on a spot on the floor that has sensors, and down comes this door. And so Spider-Man's like, you made me a criminal. And then his spider sense starts buzzing, and here comes members of the mob, and this guy presses a remote control clicky thingy that opens up. You look at these guns from underneath the painting and starts shooting at them. He uses his web. Man, McFarlane really did awesome job on webs. They were just so flat here. So he grabs this, opens that steel door here, and she's like to the black cat, come on, we gotta go. And she's like, our nest egg. He's like, we gotta go now. And so they shoot Spider-Man in the leg, and they're like, yes, don't just stand there, boys, let's finish the job. He uses his webbing on the guns, punches this guy in the gut, throws him in there, and he and the mobsters are gonna fight, but he still has his powers here, even if he is shot in the leg. and the Black Cat's just trying to get away. She's not even helping him, because she doesn't want to go to jail. And so now Spider-Man is going to go after her. She takes this guy off the bike and takes her bike. Spider-Man continues to chase her. And she just feels terrible. She's like, I don't believe it. I can't let him catch me. I can't. Oh, why did things have to turn out this way? Well, because she can't stop robbing. And he's like, oh man, my head is spinning. So he's coming down, and he uses the web, and um, you can see the web lands on the seat of the motorcycle, and then he pulls here, so the bike stops and she keeps going. She crashes. She's going all the way into the dock, and finally catches her, and she's like, you're going to jail. And then she apologizes to him, but she goes, I won't go to jail. I'd rather die first. So he says, Felicia, don't. She splashes down, and he's like, she's going to drown here. So he jumps in, and I love this, how he jumps in there. And he comes through, can't get her, and he searches and searches, and thinks perhaps she has drowned, and he goes, I lost her. And the guy says there's no sign of her, so she probably got away. Captain Wolf comes through, asks everybody to just give him a moment here, and he says the DA did grant the conditional amnesty, but she says, for what it's worth, I'm sorry, I wish these blasted papers had come in sooner. And then he has to be alone and tosses the papers. And next, Murder by Spider-Man. But this is a really nice, powerful. Roger Stern is a really good writer. It is terrible to me that Roger Stern isn't writing anymore, meaning he doesn't get work. And that's a pity. That's a shame. Amazing Spider-Man 227 by Roger Stern, John Romita Jr., and Jim Mooney. Like and subscribe. I do thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.